A Day in 5 Points, New York, 1846. The Man Who Claimed the Streets. Morning reaches 5 Points before it reaches the rest of New York City. Down here, light doesn't cleanse, it exposes. He wakes before the noise does, not because he is disciplined, but because men who sleep too long lose ground. The room is narrow, air thick with last night's smoke. Boots wait beside the bed like obligations. Outside, the street is already deciding who it belongs to today. They say he runs this block. He knows better. No one runs 5 Points. You hold it for hours at a time. You negotiate it, you defend it, you inherit its grudges and add your own. Authority here is not granted by City Hall. It is measured in who answers when you call. He steps into the street without announcement. That is the first rule of control. Never look like you are checking. Men notice him anyway. A nod here, a slight shift in posture there. Presence is a language more reliable than words. He does not shout. He does not threaten. That would suggest insecurity. Instead, he watches. Vendors setting up too far from where they should be. A group of Irish laborers lingering longer than usual at a corner that wasn't theirs last week. A young recruit eager to prove himself by staring too boldly across the street. Every movement is information. He tells himself this is order, that someone has to draw the lines. The newspapers call men like him criminals. The city calls him a problem. But the city does not walk these streets at night. The city does not settle disputes before they become funerals. The city does not answer when someone pounds on a door at midnight asking for protection. He does. Or at least that is what he believes. Power here is not wealth. It is not law. It is the fragile belief that if something happens, your name will matter. And yet, even as he moves through the morning with quiet certainty, something unsettles him. The streets feel thinner. The glances linger longer. Rumors travel faster than they should. Control in 5 Points is like smoke, visible, shifting, impossible to hold for long. By noon, someone will test him. They always do. The question is not whether he can respond. The question is whether 5 Points still wants him to. By mid-morning, 5 Points is loud enough to feel stable. Noise is a kind of reassurance. It means trade is happening. It means no one has decided to overturn the table, yet. He walks slowly, not because he has time, but because rushing suggests weakness. A leader who moves too fast looks like he is chasing something. A leader who moves slowly looks like he owns the direction. Carts scrape against stone. Barrels thud into place. Bread changes hands before it cools. Coins flash briefly in sunlight before disappearing into pockets already claimed by obligation. Every transaction carries an invisible second payment, loyalty. The butcher sees him first and adjusts his posture, casual but attentive. No words are exchanged. They don't need to be. The agreement stands, protection in exchange for predictability. No theft from this stall. No rival colors too close to its doorway. This is how the street feeds itself. He stops at a tavern door, not entering, just letting himself be seen in the threshold. Inside, men pretend not to notice. They always pretend. A glance held half a second too long confirms what he needs to know. The room still answers to him. Still. Across the street, a group of Irish laborers gathers tighter than usual. Their laughter is sharper today. Confidence has been building for weeks. New arrivals mean new numbers. New numbers mean calculations. He does not confront them, not yet. Authority is maintained through anticipation, not reaction. A younger member of his circle approaches, voice low, eager to report small provocations. A shove near the well, a muttered insult, a corner occupied 5 minutes longer than customary, the kind of friction that accumulates like dry wood. He listens without nodding. Power requires restraint in daylight. If he reacts to every spark, he looks desperate. If he ignores too many, he looks irrelevant. This is the arithmetic of control. How much tension can a street hold before it snaps? How much fear keeps peace without inviting rebellion? The police pass at the far end of the block, uniforms visible, boots deliberate. He does not look at them directly. Neither side benefits from acknowledgement. Their presence is temporary. His must appear constant. 5 Points breathes around him. Commerce layered over rivalry. Routine layered over resentment. From a distance, it resembles order. Up close, it is negotiation. By late morning, something shifts. Not loudly, not clearly, but enough. A stall moves 6 feet too far. A group lingers too long. A message is being sent without words. He feels it before he understands it. And for the first time today, control feels like something he must defend, not assume. By early afternoon, the street stops pretending neutrality. In 5 Points, hierarchy is not declared, it is performed. Men do not announce rank. They demonstrate it through distance. Who stands closest to him? Who speaks without asking? Who waits? He positions himself at the corner without claiming it. Claiming invites challenge. Occupying suggests inevitability. Around him, his circle adjusts, not instructed, conditioned. One leans against a wall to narrow the passage. Another drifts casually toward the edge of the block, where Irish laborers have grown louder in recent weeks. Their numbers have increased, so has their boldness. Across the street, eyes meet and do not drop. This is how lines are drawn in 5 Points, not with chalk, with silence. He knows what the newspapers would call this: criminal posturing, ethnic hostility, disorder. But newspapers do not calculate survival at arm's length. They do not understand that authority here is theater, backed by consequence. If he looks uncertain, someone will test him. If he looks cruel, someone will unite against him. So he chooses precision. A young recruit laughs too loudly at a passing remark. The sound cuts through the block like a thrown bottle. Heads turn. The Irish group stiffens. For half a second, the entire street balances on possibility. He does not shout. He turns his head slowly, and the laughter dies. Control is not volume, it is timing. But something is different today. The glances from across the street hold longer than they used to. They are not asking permission anymore. They are measuring odds. 5 Points does not belong to whoever is strongest. It belongs to whoever appears inevitable. And inevitability is fragile. He senses it now, the subtle erosion. Authority maintained too long begins to look like stagnation. Rivals convince themselves the balance can shift. They start rehearsing defiance in their heads long before they attempt it aloud. The city beyond this neighborhood calls men like him a problem, yet the city does not step in to replace him. It lets the streets organize themselves, then condemns the structure that emerges. By mid-afternoon, he understands something he will not admit. He does not own this block. He rents it from fear, and fear always expires. If you're feeling the tension building, stay with it. Subscribe so you don't miss what this day becomes. Like the video if you can feel how fragile this control really is, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Every city has had a street like this. Power looks different away from the corner. He leaves the busiest stretch of 5 Points and moves into the narrow arteries behind it, where the city peels back its surface and shows what it is built on. Here, authority does not echo, it absorbs. Tenement doors hang unevenly. Windows are patched with fabric instead of glass. Water runs along the edge of the street in a slow, stubborn line, carrying refuse that no one claims. The smell is constant: coal smoke, damp wood, sickness that has not yet found a name. This is the territory he says he protects. Inside one building, bodies occupy space in shifts. One man rises from a mattress as another prepares to lie down. A child watches him pass with wide, unreadable eyes. They do not nod. They do not look away either. Respect here is different. It is not admiration. It is calculation. He understands something most outsiders do not. Violence is not the foundation of 5 Points. Density is. Too many bodies in too little space. Too few opportunities for too many ambitions. Pressure that never releases, only redirects. A woman scrubs her doorstep with more care than the structure deserves. A quiet act of defiance against decay. He notices it. He notices everything. Order, even symbolic, strengthens his claim. But this is where the illusion cracks. If he truly owned these streets, the water would run clean, the rooms would breathe. The children would not memorize the sound of arguments through walls. Control without improvement begins to look hollow. He tells himself that survival is enough, that preventing chaos is its own form of mercy. Yet he knows the truth. The city beyond 5 Points benefits from this compression. New York City grows taller, richer, cleaner, because neighborhoods like this absorb what it refuses to solve. And men like him become the buffer. A shout erupts at the far end of the alley. Not violence, yet. A dispute over space, over noise, over nothing and everything. His men glance toward him, waiting for instruction. He raises his hand slightly, not to command action, to delay it. Because every intervention strengthens his image and drains his leverage. Authority spent too freely becomes ordinary. The alley quiets on its own, for now. As he steps back toward the main street, he feels the weight of something heavier than rivalry. The cost of holding power in a place that was never meant to thrive. 5 Points does not decay because it lacks leadership. It decays because leadership here is designed only to contain, never to build. And containment has limits. By late afternoon, the official city drifts closer, cautiously. Uniforms appear at the edge of 5 Points, boots deliberate against stone, not marching, not retreating, simply visible. Visibility is their version of authority. He watches them the way they watch him. The police do not enter the heart of the block unless summoned by something undeniable, a body, a fire, a noise too large to ignore. Until then, they orbit. They let the street regulate itself and step in afterward to document the damage. It is an understanding neither side admits. He does not hate them. Hate would imply moral conflict. This is structural. They maintain the appearance of order for New York City. He maintains the reality of it here. Courts exist, judges speak, laws are printed, but none of it arrives in time to prevent what tonight may bring. Institutions are strongest on paper and weakest in alleys. He has learned to operate inside that delay. A shopkeeper approaches him quietly, not the police. A complaint about intimidation from across the street, a request for reassurance. He listens, nods once, and gives no promise, only presence. If the shopkeeper went to the authorities, it would become a report. If he comes to him, it becomes a solution. This is how parallel systems survive. He knows the city blames neighborhoods like this for their own instability, but instability here is tolerated because it is contained. As long as 5 Points does not spill outward too violently, the rest of New York sleeps comfortably. He is useful. That is the unspoken truth. Useful to the merchants who need protection. Useful to the police who need the illusion of partnership. Useful to a city that prefers delegation to confrontation. But usefulness is not permanence. As daylight thins, patrols thin with it. The uniforms drift back toward broader avenues, toward cleaner streets. Their absence is predictable. It always has been. And in that retreat lies the real message. When night falls, the city will not interfere. He stands at the corner again, aware of the shift. The air is tighter, conversations shorter, groups more defined. The Irish across the way are not pretending indifference anymore. Institutions have stepped back. Now it is his responsibility, or his burden. And tonight, the street will decide whether he still deserves it. Dusk lowers itself over 5 Points without asking permission. Gas lamps flicker to life, but their glow is uneven. pools of visibility separated by corridors of doubt. The street rearranges itself for night. Vendors pack faster, doors close sooner. Conversations shrink to whispers measured in glances. This is the hour when ownership is tested. He feels it before he sees it. The Irish group across the street does not disperse as expected. They remain, closer together now, still, intentional. A message without words. One of his younger men steps forward instinctively, too fast. He restrains him with a single gesture. Not yet. Control is not proven by speed, it is proven by composure. A shove happens, small, almost accidental, but it is witnessed. The street tightens instantly. Windows shift open a fraction. Footsteps retreat into stairwells. The air feels charged, like the moment before a storm decides to break. He knows the calculation unfolding on both sides. If he does nothing, his authority weakens. If he escalates too quickly, he confirms every accusation printed about men like him. Either path carries loss. This is the weight of claiming a street. He steps forward, not aggressively, not retreating, enough to be seen, enough to be undeniable. His voice remains low, controlled, the kind of tone that forces others to lean in. The confrontation hovers at the edge of explosion. And then, restraint. Not peace, not resolution, just a temporary agreement that tonight will not become something larger. The shove is absorbed into pride, the insult swallowed into memory. For now. But something irreversible has shifted. The street has felt the fracture. Authority once assumed is now conditional. He understands it clearly. He does not rule 5 Points. He negotiates with it nightly. Behind him, the city beyond this neighborhood continues unaware. New York City dines, drinks, and sleeps believing order is intact. Here, order is an act of endurance. If you can feel how thin that line is, how close this night came to breaking, stay with the series. Subscribe for more days inside cities on the edge. Like the video if this tension felt real to you, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Night settles fully over 5 Points, and with it comes a fragile calm. No riot erupts. No headline-worthy blaze consumes the block. Instead, the tension dissolves the way most history does, quietly, without spectacle. The men disperse in measured directions, pride bruised, authority dented, but intact enough to survive until morning. He remains at the corner longer than necessary, not to intimidate, to confirm. Windows close one by one, footsteps thin out. Somewhere upstairs, a baby cries and is soothed. Somewhere else, 2 men argue in low, exhausted voices about nothing that will matter tomorrow. Life resumes its ordinary rhythm, the most powerful illusion of all. He tells himself this is victory. No blood on the stones, no police intervention, no territory lost. By the standards of 5 Points, this is stability. But stability here is not peace. It is postponement. He understands now what he did not in the morning. Claiming the streets is not about dominance. It is about absorbing pressure so the city beyond does not have to feel it. Beyond this neighborhood, New York City sleeps under the assumption that order exists because institutions enforce it. Few will ever know how often that order depended on men the city publicly condemned and privately relied upon. He looks down the length of the street one last time. Tomorrow, the same negotiations will begin again, the same glances, the same calculations, the same fragile theater of inevitability. And one day, perhaps not soon, perhaps without warning, the street will decide it no longer needs him. That is the truth of power in 5 Points. It is never owned, only borrowed. As he turns away, the gas lamps flicker in uneven rhythm, illuminating brick, shadow, and the quiet persistence of people who will wake tomorrow and call this normal. This was just one day in 1846. The city endured, and so did he. But endurance is not the same as control.